tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea. From Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless this country. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless, please bless the USA.
Welcome to Just Ask Janet this afternoon. And I love playing that song because I am proud to be an American. And I hope you're still praying for this election. I know most of the news media are acting like it was all decided. But you know what? I got my National Catholic Register the other day, and I love the headline here. It says, "A nation awaits results in a contested race." Look at that. It is a contested race, right? I mean, because seriously, there's all these illegal ballots that they're finding. And in fact, I have a case, my own daughter. Yeah, my daughter, Kelly, lived in Michigan just for about 10 months. She went to law school there. Excuse me. And this is 18 years ago. She now lives in Florida. She's an registered independent, and she voted for Trump. Excuse me. And when all this illegal activity started being reported, she said, "Oh, let me check my old Michigan address." Do you know they reactivated her registration just a few months ago? And they had her voting as a Democrat for Biden. So these cases are true. I mean, one hit home right to me. I'm sorry, I got a cough today. But this headline of the National Catholic Register is true news. And I just want to challenge everybody to say, we want, as Americans, a fair election, and let's look at all the legal ballots. It doesn't matter at this point who wins or who loses, but by legal ballots only. And I'm having a coughing fit, which I apologize for. But we've got a great program for you today. A dear, dear friend of mine and Father Pavone's. We've known him for many, many years, Dr. Thomas Hilgers, who founded the Pope Paul VI Institute, is with us today. And I'm going to ask him to tell us a lot about the Pope Paul VI Institute, why it started. And of course, he's got a brand new book that we're going to get into also. So, Dr. Hilgers, welcome to the program.
Hey, Janet, good to see you.
I know. Sorry about my little coughing here.
Oh, well, it happens.
I haven't seen you in quite a while. I think the last time was over in Rome at an Academy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So just tell our viewers a little thing about the Pope Paul VI Institute. How did that get started? I mean, I kind of know it was St. John Paul II, but tell them a little bit of that background.
Well, actually, Pope Paul VI.
Oh, Pope Paul VI it was.
Yeah.
Even before John Paul. Okay.
Because when he wrote Humanae Vitae, I became a fan.
Right.
And we both did, actually. Sue and I both did. And we went ahead and did a lot of work in natural methods. And then when he died, August the 6th, 1978, we made the pledge to respond to his call to men of science to do something.
Oh, wow.
And I was, let's see, that was 1978. I was 25 years old, I think, something like that.
Wow.
And we went ahead, and it took us a few years. 1985 it opened. Started as the Pope Paul VI Institute. Now it's the St. Paul VI Institute, because
Right.
a couple of years ago he was canonized, which is a
That's
story all of its own.
And so I can't hear him.
You can't hear me?
Oh, no, I can. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so we got started, and we had, as you know, I've been very involved in the abortion issue for many years.
Of course.
And haven't really written a lot about it over the last 20 or 40 or 30 years, whatever it's been a long time, because of our work in reproductive medicine.
Right.
And in reproductive medicine, we developed the Creighton model fertility care system. And off of that, then, a whole new women's health science called naprotechnology, natural
Right.
procreative technology, which now, in fact, I'm working on the second edition of the medical textbook. That is actually a new subspecialty for women of procreative age. If you think about it, in those women, if they have a problem, they get put on birth control pills. That's about it.
Right.
Or they get aborted, or they get IVF. That's about it.
Right.
Nobody looks for the problem. Nobody looks for the cause. And what we do is we look for the cause and we treat the root cause. And it's a huge difference.
Well, Dr. Hilgers, personally, at Priest for Life over the years, we have sent you some of our women, several of them,
Yes.
for treatment. And they have come from your treatment where they weren't getting pregnant, that you did everything. One of them I know came out there for surgery, and another one you sent to a local doctor. They now have several kids.
Well, that's good. That's a sign of success. But we've had people come from every state in the United States to the St. Paul VI Institute, and from 6 continents. So the word has spread all by word of mouth, mostly, and one success to another, really. And it's really been terrific. In fact, we've designed a new facility, and we're hoping to start building on it here in the next year or so.
That's terrific. What would you say, Dr. Hilgers, of all these decades, a rough number? I mean, I know when I came out to Omaha, your halls are filled with long bulletins up of baby pictures of all these successes that people have sent thank you notes to you. Thank you, Dr. Hilgers. And what would you estimate is a rough number of babies that were, these were not IVFs, these were all naturally conceived children from women who they were being turned away after doctor. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't help you. Or here's the birth control pill. And these good Catholics didn't want to go down that road. What would the estimate of how many women and babies have been helped?
Well, all I can say is in the thousands, and we don't know exactly what number it is because. But when we wrote our first edition of our textbook on naprotechnology, we had over 1,000 pregnancies at that time. That was in 2004. But we have 3 full-time naprotechnology doctors now that I've trained, along with myself, of course, so we've made a lot of progress. And we have an ongoing fellowship program. We have 3 young doctors who are training with us right now. and they really they do a tremendous job once they get out, and they're around the country now. So
right. And then tell me, I know you've also trained doctors that are all over the country, right? Who have come to you, I think, like for kind of like a summer for several months of training. About how many physicians like that all over the country have you trained?
Well, that number is bigger. It's probably about 1,000, but these are trained at a different level, mostly in the medical side of it. But the other program is a full-time fellowship program where we train them in the surgical techniques we use, which are unique, really. We developed at the Institute for preventing of scar tissue and that sort of thing. So it helps their fertility rather than harms it.
Right.
And so we have about 30 of those now. We started a new group called the Society of Procreative Surgeons, which is only for this group of people and ones that'll come in the future. So it's really been terrific. It's been a great experience. People often ask, because it's been tough, certainly, as you know. It's not an easy work to be involved in, related to abortion or life. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, I wouldn't have done anything else. It's really terrific. It's just, it has more blessings than you can possibly imagine.
So right now, let's say there's a woman watching our program and she says, oh my gosh, my sister, she's had this trouble for a couple of years now. She can't get pregnant, but she doesn't want to go down this other road. Right. What should they do? Is there a website to go to? Is there a place to call to find one of these doctors in their area?
Well, they could definitely go to our website, stpaula6.com. That's a Roman numeral 6. They can also look up Fertility Care Centers of America. That's the website is fcca.org, and they can find teachers all over the country of the Creighton model system, because it starts with charting your cycles with a very unique system. There's no other natural method that does this, and it's a standardized system. It's one where we can really help understand the cycle, and some of the problems that show up in their fertility issues are showing up in these charts. That's where we first saw them. Right. And then we can begin an evaluation. Not all of the doctors are trained to do the full evaluation, and they should know that, but they certainly can come to one of our other doctors or come to the Institute. We have people coming from, like I said, all over the country to the St. Paul 6 Institute.
All right. And then in my hands, Dr. Hilders, I have your newest book, The Fake and Deceptive Science Behind Roe v. Wade. So tell us a little bit about this book and what caused you to write this, because I know how busy you are with your practice.
Well, I've been wanting to write this book for a long time, but frankly, there wasn't the type of documentation that I needed until the last 4 or 5 years. And when Kavanaugh was being interviewed by the Judiciary Committee for the post on the Supreme Court, they asked him at the end of this, he said, are you convinced that Roe v. Wade is a settled law? That's a common question. It's not just unique to Kavanaugh, but and it got me to thinking that, the science in Roe v. Wade is clearly fake.
Right, it's wrong.
So how could it possibly be settled law when in fact the science is so skewed and I mean, I think frankly this court lied to us, to be honest, but we've got good documentation now of all of this. And the 3 major issues that they relied upon, unfortunately, were provided to them by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, which happens to be one of the most pro-abortion outfits in the country. It's almost worse than Planned Parenthood because it guides all the training that young doctors get, obstetrician gynecologists. So anyway, they supplied this information in friend of the court briefs, and this included the number of illegal abortions, what they said, the deaths, the maternal deaths related to illegal abortion, 5,000 to 10,000 per year. They said that the maternal mortality rate with childbirth was 23 times higher than the maternal mortality rate from a first trimester abortion, which they got those statistics from Hungary at the time. Wow. And the other thing is that the mortality rate was that they were quoting, they said, was from normal childbirth or regular childbirth, which is really important. And that's why this was so deceptive. And then the last one, of course, is when does life begin? And they relied on almost a flat Earth society type concept, not a consensus. There was a consensus in 1973, but they didn't accept it, and they rejected it. But they did say that we need not determine at this point that life begins at conception. Well, that's okay, I guess. Not really, because there's 60 million abortions have been done since then. But at the same time, they have to, they've got to go back and look at this. It's just absolutely clear to me. And so that's the main reason that I wrote this book, is I wanted to debunk the science, which was really curbstone, argumentative, sort of pro-abortion arguments. It definitely, definitely argued the issue from a pro-abortion point of view.
Right.
And so.
Well, I think the phrase they use too is because we don't know, or something like that, or not certain. You know, when
well, they said because there's some disagreement in the profession.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's still a flat Earth society in England too, but that doesn't mean the Earth is flat. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so it's very, 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 very not just deceptive. It's more than that, because remember, the court was only reiterating what the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists gave to them. And they are not an honest organization when it comes to abortion. And so it's very difficult and frustrating. We have got to get to this. I mean, Chelsea Clinton just a couple of years ago was saying that if we go back to illegal abortion, we're going to have 5,000 to 10,000 women who are going to die every year. Well, that's a statistic which was made up. Yeah. Dr. Nathanson, Bernard Nathanson, wrote about this in his book, said, well, we just made it up.
They made it up.
Clear that he made it up. There's no data that supports it. And it's frustrating because of that. And then the court, of course, was ripe to be able to take on that information. So we got to do something.
Of course, you know, Dr. Hilgers, also, too, what people have to understand is I kind of remember this very clearly because I had my first baby in 1978. So ultrasound wasn't really around.
Right, exactly.
At that point. You know, so in 73, you know, right now, everyone takes it all so for granted. We show the ultrasound pictures when when someone's pregnant. Yeah. They post them on the refrigerator in the office. You know, everyone shares the pictures. But 1973, there was no ultrasound. I think about a few years later, they first began to have I know by the time I had my twins in 1980, ultrasound was available, but only in the hospitals, not in doctors' offices like they are today. And in fact, they didn't even diagnose my twins till I was started my 9th month, and they sent me to the hospital for an ultrasound.
Yeah, not unusual in those days. But not anymore because of ultrasound. Ultrasound has continued to get better and better and better and better. Now we have 3- and 4-dimensional ultrasound. Babies babies moving in there. It's 10 weeks, 8 weeks of pregnancy. In fact, as a supplement to this book that we're talking about, we have put on the internet a 45-minute maybe presentation in PowerPoint from conception to birth using 3-dimensional ultrasound, 4-dimensional ultrasound, some color pictures of the babies and so forth. And that is at No Reality. That's KNOW reality.us. And that's for free. They can go to that. Anybody can go to that and look at it. So your viewers can, check it out.
So if someone wants to order this book, because I really highly recommend it, it's a great book to really discuss this, not a lot of political rhetoric, but on facts. So how could they get this book?
It's available at Amazon and Borders and things like the Barnes and Noble, that sort of thing. It's also available from the Institute, St. Paul VI Institute Press, I guess .com. I don't know if you know the addresses.
Yeah, it's probably .com.
Yeah, probably.
Great. Well, I tell you, we're going to be ordering copies for our. We do our pastoral team here. All our priests and people like Alveda King, everybody. We read about a book every 6 weeks. Father assigns a book, and then we do a book discussion. So, come the new year, your book is going to be one of our top books that we're going to all read and discuss. And maybe we'll invite you. And we'll invite you to begin on the discussion, maybe if you're available.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Well, I'm more available now than I used to be, actually, because I'm mostly doing just research and writing right now. So I've got a little bit extra time. I'd be happy to do that. And it's a great idea, frankly, because it is a very good book. We've had really positive comments from it so far.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased by it. I think it's the best book that I've ever written. So.
Well, you know, Dr. Hilgers, I think this is an important book, too, for students to get a hold of, especially in colleges, because very often in these classes, these topics come up.
And they keep doing all the same arguments.
Same arguments. You've got to come back at them, not with these same political arguments. You've got to come back with the facts, and that's what your book does.
And
this is just the facts. And because if you notice, as soon as you drill people down on the facts, they kind of they lose the argument. They lose.
They do. They do. Yeah.
The argument. You know.
I was just reading about this new film that's coming out on Roe v. Wade, and the person who produced it or directed it was saying that a number of the actors who were pro-abortion going into it came out pro-life.
Right.
So I mean, because they learned more than they thought. They thought they knew everything, but they learned more as a result of investigating it further. And you know, to me, it's the number one human rights issue in the world, and we've got to continue to work at it. We can't stop. And I know you know that, and I know Priests for Life know that. And we just got to keep working at it.
Absolutely. And you know, like I said, I was thrilled to see the book because the last book I read of yours was because you did do a NAPRO book. Tell us about that for a minute. Not for the doctors, but for us lay people.
Yeah, it was called the NAPRO Technology Revolution.
Yeah,
and that's available. I think it's available still on I don't know what they call it, digital or something from Amazon for sure. And I haven't rewritten it yet because I'm rewriting the
medical one.
The new medical. Once that's done, then I'll give another sort of a NAPRO Technology Revolution too, because it's written for lay people.
That's what I liked about it. It wasn't too complicated.
Yeah.
But I found it so interesting, Dr. Hill, just because I think, you know, every woman should read this book. And for your teenage daughters, I mean, I think that should be, especially like Catholic high schools.
Yeah,
why
absolutely.
Should that be a required reading in your like freshman or sophomore year?
Yeah.
You know, because when you think about it, Dr. Hill, just so many of, you know, women and young girls, you know, let's face it, they're in high school, they have problems with their period, their mom good intentionally takes them to the OBGYN for an exam. They tell them, well, you know, even though she's not sexually active, period, we're going to put her on the birth control pill because it will make her flow less and this and this and that.
Yeah.
Instead of like what you do, you address what's really going on physically with the girl, right?
Yeah, and then in another breath, they'll say, and she won't get pregnant either.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's even if they say that I know she's not sexually active, they think they're all sexually active. And they're not. And the great miracle of our modern day is that 50% of teenagers are not sexually active. And that's amazing when you think of all of the direction our culture has gone in the last 50 years.
I know.
So it's pretty amazing. And so, but we just make those assumptions, and it's not healthy at all.
Yeah.
And then you think of, I'm sorry, but you think of these women who go out there and say, I want to control my own body. I want to do this. But they don't even know how their body works. Nobody's ever taught them how their body works. I mean, I know more about how their body works than they do. I mean, I've studied a lot of it. I understand. But at the same time, you take a woman who's gone through teaching, learning how to use the Creighton model. They learn about their body, things they never knew before. In fact, they get so excited about how this is all functioning because they've seen all this stuff before. They had no idea what it meant.
Exactly. And that's why I strongly recommend young women out there watching and moms, get Dr. Hilger's book, NAPRO Technology Revolution. I mean, it's a must because, you know, Dr. Hilger, just to be kind of funny in a way, I remember when I was a teenager and I first got my period, my mom literally came into my bedroom with this little kit that said, "Congratulations, you're a woman. right? You open it up, and it had your little supplies, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
No discussion, no nothing.
That's kind of the way it is, and it's too bad. But
it's terrible.
we have a lot of our programs now have mother-daughter teas or breakfasts or things like that, and they're able to merge some of this information and get their mothers involved and get them involved, the teenagers, and it's really important if they understand how their body works. It really helps, and it's in a way it's so enlightening. Just to give you one statistic, in our effectiveness studies of the Creighton model system, we've asked people once they become pregnant, is this a wanted pregnancy or an unwanted pregnancy? And 98.5% of these are wanted pregnancies.
Right.
And then if they say it was unintended, which sometimes they do, they're still wanted. If they say it's unexpected, they're still wanted. In fact, 100% of those were wanted. So, I mean, it makes a whole different look at how, if Planned Parenthood, they always say every baby a wanted baby. Excuse me, they don't really mean that.
Right.
Because if they were, they would be all over us and wanting to have us help them. But
well, and just to sum up in the end here, it really shows that God's way is the right way.
Yes.
And St. Paul VI was genius with Humana Vitae, pointing us back then with, like you're saying, he didn't have a lot of science knowledge. He had God knowledge and wrote that encyclical and then charged you with, well, now, Dr. Hilgers, you need to help us here.
Yeah, well, he left us with some ideas and thoughts and challenged us. And I was a fourth-year medical student when I read it, and I was immediately challenged by his challenge to men of science and physicians and healthcare professionals to the pastoral directives that he left. And my life has been dedicated to this, and it's been just incredibly awe-inspiring, and I don't know, the words don't even come out that explain it all.
Well,
it's really great.
I have to say, for me, it's been awe-inspiring for me to have known you all these years.
Well,
you've been a real
both ways.
gift. And I just want to remind our viewers here, The Fake and Deceptive Science by Dr. Hilgers, Behind Roe v. Wade by Dr. Hilgers, Amazon. And Dr. Hilgers, I want you to stay in the queue. I do have to say goodbye to our audience because I have someone who off camera wants to say hello to you. So
that's a deal.
So stay on. And again, I highly recommend this book, Priest for Life. We're going to have our pastoral team read it and discuss it. I really recommend you to get a hands on this book. It's so important to really come out with true scientific arguments of how we can overturn Roe v. Wade. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, it's Janet Marana, Executive Director of Priest for Life. Goodbye.